It's fine.
You think we're recording?
Hope so.
Okay. We'll get started. We're joined this morning by Tony Tarosky, the ODOT District 6 Deputy Director, to provide us with some updates. Yeah, we'll turn it over to you, sir. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Good to see you all again. What I'd like to do today is just give project updates. Please ask questions along the way. And if you have any priorities that you don't hear about, we're doing a lot of good work in the county. I'm excited. But if you have something else you want to flag for our attention, happy to do that. And then I'm meeting with Engineer Doom and then I've had Kevin here in the next 2 months, basically talk about county priorities, try to find funding, that kind of stuff. So I hope today sparks some good discussion and keep bringing good money to the county.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you.
So a good one. I was talking with the sheriff as I come back up from the Bears Bengals game this weekend. We do have 71 open to 3 lanes northbound, and they'll spend the next 2 weekends removing some of the temporary marking and pulling barrier. So they should have it open 3 lanes southbound, not this weekend, but the next one. So that'll be substantially complete. They'll come back and do the surface paving next year when the weather turns good again. So they've got it essentially all finished northbound now. The ramps are wrapped up at 56 and southbound will be open and they'll do a little bit of work overnights next year. So I really appreciate that. Appreciate the county engineer and local partners at Dyer Road. That was a pretty lengthy closure. I worked with local folks on that roadway. I know the county engineer shifted their bridge project to work around ours. So good flexibility. I think we're opening that road up as well.
When are you looking back at opening?
It should be opening up with southbound. So I think that same kind of 2-week timeline. That's a very good one. And that leaves us with, I think, 4.5 miles of 2-lane left in Madison County. Question I often get, when are we going to get the rest of it? Typically driven by pavement condition. We have to rip out that original interstate pavement. We'll build the extra lane and leave it out there. So it's holding up okay, but I can still see that in my career. Nothing planned in the near future. The other major interstate rebuild is not in Madison County, but many of your folks drive it. Law enforcement helps us manage incidents out there. Is the I-70 reconstruction between the Madison County line and Hilliard-Rome Road. They've been laying a lot of asphalt at night. It's easier to get trucks there. They're making a lot of good progress. We anticipate they're going to make a switch to get the eastbound traffic on the original eastbound direction, maybe as soon as the week before Thanksgiving, but certainly that first week of December. We try not to make major swaps over the holiday weekend. It's just not good to move people's setups over that very busy travel week. And then we'll have again kind of a couple weeks where they're moving barrier wall. And we're going to actually move the westbound traffic. So we'll have 2 lanes in each direction over the winter, all on new pavement. That's intentional, so we're not chasing pavement blowups all winter. And what they'll do, it also allows them to rip out the old pavement westbound. Can do that work in any kind of weather. So excited to see that, and that sets us up for opening 3 lanes in each direction in October of next year. Again, it draws that completion date forward. So I appreciate that. I know both you and the Franklin County Sheriff have been very good partners, as well as our State Highway Patrol Lieutenant Commander, and they're really good dealing with incidents out there. I know it's going to be constrained over the winter, but we think this is the best way to get it done overall.
I would probably suggest that you and your staff, like I asked the director of Jefferson, we've had after action reviews in regards to the incident we had down in 71. We've been working well with understanding of what to expect when dealing with crashes of these construction zones and the impact and the pushback. As I'm guessing that even completed in our county, the majority of that is in Franklin County. But we have that good working relationship with the lieutenant of the highway patrol, our deputies on the scene in ODOT, but you might want to follow up with Franklin County and make sure when their deputies decide that they want to go out and respond and take the crashes, that you guys have that same working relationship where you're going to get that pushback on that. Towards the east and going west. So yeah, it'd be a good follow up.
Yeah, actually met with their sheriff at their county courthouse probably about 6 weeks ago at this point. again, to try to just to your point, try to spur that relationship, because we do have a very strong one here within Madison County. Getting, Franklin, what they find, they just have different folks responding at different times. We have a really good relationship with Columbus PD because they have a staff of freeway people. But if it's just a random deputy that's responding, it's harder to know. So it's worth the effort.
Get that right away.
Yeah. A couple other things we've done, adding dedicated towing resources, clear things quicker, out of West Jefferson. Adding motorcycle patrols from state highway patrol, they can get through the stop vehicles to respond faster, they can weave through. And then, we're also gonna be changing the speed limits a little bit to add some of the feedback signs. Your speed is X, Y, or Z. Hopefully it's pretty close to the posted speed limit, but at least to give them some feedback, and helps our enforcement. So. But excited to see that one moving along, the sooner the better. I met with Engineer Doom, with the sheriff and David Kell about Madison 40. In the past, we talked about evaluating what we do with that pavement. We settled on we're going to keep all existing lanes, and what we're going to do is remove the existing asphalt, rubblize the base, and then basically strengthen it, mix in good admixtures, either asphalt or cement, make it strong, and put a good pavement back up. So that essentially will leave it as a good redundancy for 70 when it's closed, and also I think it was important to the county for economic development. So that is the game plan. It's sitting about a year and a half out in the future, so I can see it selling maybe in the second half of 2027. We'll keep you all on the loop on the game plan there. I would assume we're gonna do something similar to 70, where we swap a lane over and provide some local access to driveways. So.
Appreciate that.
We will be resurfacing 70 west of US 42 next year. Nothing major there, but like people know, it's a lot of pavement out there. Again, taking care of a pretty important asset. So it should mostly be nighttime work. Be going into some villages to do some work. Often we use chip seal with our in-house forces. It works very well out in rural areas. We don't want to be chip sealing within villages. I think a lot of dust and just not a very good fit. So we're coming back with paving within South Solon, also in Midway here over the next 2 years. And it's really essentially more deeper pavement repairs. I can think especially South Solon, that pavement's not very good in the village. I think it's paved on mud. So again, trying to get some base back in there, and resurface it and hopefully help them, maintain that roadway in there. So I like to try to partner with villages wherever we can. In the truck stop area on US 42, out by 70, kind of picture truck stop to truck stop. That pavement gets very badly beat up. Of course, there's lots of heavy vehicles in there. Starting in summer of next year, we'll be reconstructing that pavement, just completely replacing it with concrete. And we'll also, number one, just to maintain access, but also to improve traffic flow, we'll add a center turn lane. So you're gonna see utility relocations over this winter and into next year in preparation for that. And what we'll do is we'll close one half of the roadway, detour it over to 29 and back up while we reconstruct pavement. We'll have it.
That's gonna go from that's the only thing I wrote down. From 42 heading into London, how far into London are we gonna go?
This project's very constrained around the freeway. It's essentially the truck stop on the north side, which is.
So past Speedway?
Yeah.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah, it'll tie into the pavement that was built with the sheets, if I remember correctly, and then just the last truck stop on the south side. So it's really only maybe a mile of pavement rebuilt. We'll continue to do resurfacings and such out in the country, but that area should get beat up.
Speedway to that John Deere.
Yeah, exactly.
With that, so you're gonna add a center lane, which will help tremendously. Why not put 4 lanes? Just like, going the other way.
Yeah. In a couple cases, there are things I'll just use one example. There's an oil and water separator in the very front of one of the gas stations. So essentially we'd be getting in, if we take that, they don't really have anywhere else to put it and wind up buying a truck stop is essentially the constraint. And that's the easy one to point to, but I think of the driveway to the engineer's office, the McDonald's is pretty tight and we get into buying businesses is the short answer.
Okay.
A lot of good safety improvements. I'm not gonna go, way in the weeds, but we do have roundabouts planned. Good county project, Big Plain, Georgesville Road and Converse Huff, as well as Cemetery Pike, working with Kevin and Brian on that one. They're wrapping up their right of way plans, yet this year. And, do you have a good construction date you're targeting? Usually about a year and a half for them?
Yeah, spring of 27 is the hope. At this point, we're hoping, and Tony probably can't say anything about this right this second, we're hoping for some additional funding to be announced over the next week, that will basically complete the dollars we needed to build that project. So it's an exciting time for that area, Plain City, Georgesville, Converse.
Very good improvement, and it's worth sharing up front. We don't have to just put safety money on state routes. Good partnership with county engineer means we can get it anywhere there are crashes. So making good investments there. We also got money to rebuild, I think, 12 spots of just guardrail on county roads, upgraded to something modern. That can make a big difference if you hit an old rusty turn down guardrail or the new modern ones that slow you down more safely. So excited to see that. That was a good application from the county engineer to get that out there. I'm also doing sidewalks in Plain City on 42 and West Avenue. Really crosswalks, striping, curb ramps, that kind of stuff. A couple beacons, basically the light up signs when you press the crosswalk, draw attention somebody needs to cross the roadway.
I thought they're definitely doing that, so you guys are doing that project, and
Yep, working with the village at Plain City. Yep. Sometimes businesses do make those improvements. In this case, this was a safety funding application, so. We're wrapping up some in-house work. Our forces, ODOT forces have been replacing culvert out by tolls. They should be opened up here by the end of the week. So good chance to do some good quality work, at a good price internally, so. Other roundabouts that are planned, US 42 and Price Hilliards. We're working through some coordination with some historic properties. So they're in good shape, working through that, and we'll be buying property next. So still about a year and a half, 2 years out for full construction and completion. That one's very important to patrol. I saw some very interesting dash cam footage where trooper was driving down the roadway and had a near miss where somebody pulled right down in front of him. So, with the school there, that one's very important to keep that moving along. So working there, as well as Spring Valley, 665. We had a public meeting maybe a month and a half ago at this point. They'll pick their alignment, purchase property, and move on towards construction. So, county engineers also using some of our safety money to widen shoulders on Spring Valley. Again, basically make it more forgiving if someone, drifts off the edge of the road, they don't get sucked into a ditch, they have a little bit more recovery area. Again, just good bread and butter stuff that helps save lives. That one, you're just getting started, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Within London, we do have a bridge replacement, planned on 42 and Oak Run. So I think you're on the south side of town, if I recall correctly. They do need to buy right away for a little bit of widening as they build it, to relocate some utilities, but they're planning that out there. Second half of 27, first half of 28. So we'll work with the city on that, any detours, anything needed there. Also work with the city. We're looking at tweaking where some of the state routes go, some of the trucks where they want to follow the state route signs. They're cutting some corners there at the gas station on the east side of town. We're working through, we don't want to take on extra mileage for the state. So what we try to do is enter into an agreement with them. They'll pick up some unincorporated area to account for the swap. So basically we're both neutral on what we have to take care of. So working through that with the city. That's a lot of the big stuff. We have a lot of other preservation work. We do have a roundabout plan of 42 and 29, had a public meeting 2 weeks ago, maybe. So we'll lay that out. Be a good project there. There's a warehouse at one corner. So hopefully that'll also even improve access for them once that's built. So a lot of good things. I don't have a total dollars spent, but each one of those roundabouts is in that $2 to $4 million range for construction and right away. The interstate reconstructions are I think the 71 rebuild was about $110 million. So you see, we're bringing a lot of good stuff to the county, that serve the citizens as well as motorists all around the state. So glad to see it. Hopefully it hasn't been, too rough during construction, but I'm glad to see some things opening.
Appreciate that update and appreciate your continued work with us and the county engineer's office. I know there's a good relationship with you and the county engineer's office, so we appreciate that.
Very much so. Any questions from you, gentlemen?
Yeah, I appreciate the update as well. One area that I get asked about, or I have from time to time, is 42 and Spring Valley, sort of the gateway coming into London, especially as traffic counts only go up in that area. I gather that there hasn't been much in the way of accidents, which is a good thing, but it is a pretty difficult area to cross on, and I think that'll only continue. Do you have any thoughts on an area like that, or has that been flagged at all, or?
It hasn't, but Spring Valley's, you've heard some of the safety investments that are
Right,
planned,
right.
and really a lot, really on the east side of the county.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to have our team take a look and see what they're seeing. And even if we don't have the crash pattern to support safety dollars.
Yeah.
Perhaps as developments come in or some of our other pots of money, we can make some tweaks there, so.
I think the worst part of that is like when you're making a left on the Spring Valley.
Yeah.
You block traffic
Yes,
on 42. And I don't know if you could put a turning lane in there to keep traffic flowing. Plus, when you gotta almost get up, people pull all the way up to make a left. Right. There is a turn lane, I believe there's a turn lane to make a right coming away from London, heading north. But there's no turn lane to make a left going south.
Gotcha. So southbound 42 to eastbound Spring Valley, I know they're kind of at angles.
So
West of Florida, right?
it is a weird one. The way it's, and sometimes you can't hardly even see the traffic coming because it kind of sits lower and you gotta kind of go up and look ahead a little bit.
So I have a couple questions, if I may.
Sure.
One is pretty broad, big picture, other one maybe not so much. So considering the residential growth of London and potential residential growth of London, with 42 being the kind of the main, I don't know if Commissioner Shea put it well, but kind of the gateway to London, as those rooftops are built, we assume traffic increases on that main. And strategies to alleviate some of that traffic. The turn lane, so you talked about 42 and 70, strengthening the pavement there as well as a turn lane, or is that kind of all the one same project?
That'll all
But
be
the truck
one,
stops,
yep, that'll all be one project.
all one project, so, I just see that potentially becoming a bigger issue down the road, so it's like, do you just bite the bullet now, or do you bite the bullet later? Because it was 750 homes or whatever the magic number is right now, in the city of London, and I think that number will increase over time. That's going to create significant congestion. So the only other way to get to 70, which is okay for going to Springfield, is 56. Is there any discussion, any appetite for exchange there at 38 and 70, there by Mullican and Farm Science Review, to try to, create an alternative path there? I don't know if that's come up or not. If it hasn't, then maybe it should. Of course, I'm talking long term, but
I can add to it, I guess, you take Delaware County, for instance, and what the state has suffered on that 42 route going into Delaware, and what they had to do to keep out of it.
I think,
That's all.
yeah,
yeah.
both of your points, we're actually doing a traffic study on US 42, from London up to US 23. Just saying, hey, we are aware of a lot of development. My boy's a hockey player. I'm excited to see some ice sheets up in Delaware. But there'll be traffic that goes with that, working with the city, working with county engineer and with the city of London down here saying, hey, as these things come online, what does that do to US 42? Do we need additional lanes? Do we need usually we can fix intersections first. That's been our strategy, but at some point, there's only so much a lane can handle. So we're running that analysis of, hey, what will break first, so we can strategize improvements. And that will also inform us. There has been talk at 38 over the years, in my recollection. We'll see what we can do at 42, and if that breaks, we'll see, you know, we run simulations, see what's the path. People are smarter, and they'll just follow their phone too. They'll follow that shortest path typically.
Yeah, and I'm making an assumption that you still have so many people driving to Columbus, driving to Springfield, Dayton for work, you know, and then maybe that's a smaller number than what I'm anticipating, but, you know, with that one vital path that I just see 42 basically from 29, you know, all the way to certainly to Spring Valley, if not to, you know, farther south than London, becoming a major congested route without some plan in the future to try to alleviate that, either by adding a lane or an alternate path, alternate route.
Yeah, I share your concern. I think when we're talking about US 40 and the pavement, I think Dave shared a little bit, there's a decent amount of work going west to Dayton, and of course, some of their growth with the
Yeah,
AV sector. And then warehousing maybe in Springfield, I think you mentioned.
Well, certainly also being discussed as a major, you know, defense contractor corridor, you know, between Columbus and Dayton and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
I'll mention another area if I can. So 142 between London and West Jeff. So London just approved, I think it's 256 home development. And at some of the hearings for this, it was very well attended from the public, and the top concern by far was the traffic congestion that's already there. And you've got the factories and whatnot, so people who live in the developments off of East High, which is 142, certain times a day, it's impossible right now to begin with.
Yeah.
And then you add, you know, 256 homes on 55 acres right there. There's concerns about turning on to
Spring Valley.
well, yeah, a lot of different areas actually. So I think that whole stretch in there would be worth looking at, especially with an eye toward this development that's coming.
And Spring Valley and 142.
Spring
also.
Valley.
Yeah, that's, you know, the worst part about that is, you know, when you're going north, you can't, if you look on your right, you can't see the traffic coming because the bridge over there at Deer Creek sits low, and, you know, so when you can't see that. And I think the sheriff, isn't there a lot of issues with that intersection, or?
Spring Valley, 142.
Yeah,
It's one of the,
it's a nice.
intersections, you know, obviously the one there, 665 in Spring Valley.
Yeah, and Spring Valley is becoming the highway from
Yes.
one side of the county to 56. It's Spring Valley where tons of traffic, trucks, you name it, goes through there.
I think London's, they may be working on their comprehensive land use plan now. I'm not sure how old their current one is, but I believe the last time that I saw it, or at least a version of it. Clearly Spring Valley.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that people don't want to go through London to get on 56. And they bypass it through Spring Valley, and that's congested. It becomes, especially when Stanley and all them let out. 142 in Spring Valley you can't cross it.
Yeah.
You can't cross it.
My point is growth is going to
Oh,
continue
yeah.
in that direction, which is going to create more traffic, which therefore we should probably start thinking sooner than later on.
I'm thinking right now, Spring Valley is more busier than 665.
Well, I think, just to answer kind of these questions broadly, when they do have a development, they work with either us, if it's unregulated in the county, or the city to do a traffic impact study. Hey, here's an extra 200 trips a day.
Yeah.
What kind of improvements are needed, turn lanes, signal roundabout. We see
See that our outages.
Yep. And then, that's a good way to do front door improvements. And then longer term planning with the county, with the city is what kind of connecting improvements are needed. When I sit down with Brian, I think, we talk about both Spring Valley and 142 and,
Yeah.
kind of talk through what do they see as needs.
You said they work with you if it's unincorporated?
Uh-huh.
So who do they work with if it's incorporated?
Typically the city or village, yeah. We talk with each other. I mean, it just becomes who's the lead agency who has the jurisdiction.
But if there were any updates to a state route that goes through this, that's still you, right?
There's actually mixed maintenance responsibility and mixed jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're within a city, state routes and US routes are maintained by the city, and they actually have that final authority. There's a little bit of mix if we have some property rights, think of like the interstate, it goes through Columbus, well, we don't have to ask Columbus what we want to do on 7-1. Because we bought limited access, you don't have any driveways, we just take it. And then we maintain things out in the country, in unincorporated areas, and there's even a little bit finer mix within villages. So, yeah, it's a joy because there's a whole lot of Ohio Revised Code references, and we have a whole matrix of if you're on this kind of road and this kind of bridge in this area, this is who gets to take care of it. You know, I've got to look back and check, but ultimately, strong relationships between everybody needs to take care of it, so.
Yeah, as you know, a number of years ago, they did a 42 bypass in Plain City to get the truck traffic out of downtown Plain City. Would there be any thought to doing that in the city of London, so you don't have, semis coming like here by the courthouse through downtown London? Would that ever be an option you would consider, or something that's being contemplated?
I'd say it's not actively being contemplated, but those are things we can look at.
Yeah.
We're having that discussion, on 23 south, well, really both sides of the city, but south of, into Pickaway County, we're looking at a South Winfield as a village becoming a city. They've done some good investment to add a center turn lane as a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Not really a long-term solution. So we try to exhaust the things that are readily implemented. And then if we know that it's not gonna work long-term, we do those kind of planning things.
Yeah, I think the long term, the bypass for the city of London probably would be necessary at some point.
So they get to be big, but they can be done with enough effort and essentially full willpower.
Tony, one last, item that's been really, I've been really pleased with the effort to try to involve the communities and areas is the discussion of 161, the planning work that's trying to go into that. I don't know if you would want to talk about that a little bit.
Be happy to. Thank you for teeing it up. 161 is really the front door to several counties, between Plain City and Dublin. We just opened up a new interchange improvement, within Dublin. The whole area is growing. It's lit up with development. The 2-lane roadway, we want to do it long term. So we've organized a planning effort to basically game plan widening that, through our funding processes. And really our game plan is to have, as the developers repurpose their parcel, change the land use from farming to housing or whatever, they do their intersection improvements, build a roundabout, turn lanes, whatever, typically roundabouts out there. And then hopefully pay in a little bit to match up to us eventually building a 4-lane roadway, not a freeway, but think of like Sawmill Parkway in Delaware County, where you have limited number of driveways and intersections. So we're actually hoping to go to our statewide funding application for development dollars actually next spring. That might be something I'd be interested in talking with you all for some kind of support. It's in and out of course, Union County, Madison County, and Franklin. And we're trying to give a good consistent answer to help all the private sector folks be able to deliver their improvements and not have different expectations if you're on this side of this line or the other one. And hopefully preserve it. A lot of growth in Plain City, in California, those areas. Don't want them to be cut off because of inability to plan ahead. I think we got a good plan there, so.
Okay, appreciate that. Well, thank you for all your updates. We appreciate it.
Yeah, good to see everyone.
Yeah, look forward to
Thank
having
you.
those conversations in the future. So thank you.
Very good. Good luck with your,
It happened last week too.
Yeah, back-to-back weeks, no doubt.
We are getting proposals on a generator for the course. Right now, the data also it's in circuits. So generator, sure.
Is that one tree? Stone.
Good luck. Price of everything.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Take care, appreciate it.
Let me take it off the owl.
Take care.
Yeah.
Awesome. You guys have a great day.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, I did it on its own.
Glad to come.
See you there.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Expert, yeah.
Well, you know, it's the dark.
Could
I don't want to sit in the dark. I just have another Zoom I gotta hear.
The tower went out Thursday.
I'd rather sit in the dark than do
Yeah.
Zoom.
Cause that was the day my mom came back from the rehab center. Yeah. And we pull in and like, look at Kathy's and like, there's no power on this.
Right, very good.
They're working.
It is 10 a.m. This is the time we have set aside for open session and public comments. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak, now's now the time.
Yeah, I'd like to say something about the solar project. 29 there, some information got, we should have contacted me earlier. Move up there.
Sure, that's absolutely.
Got some records here that had been public. And some of his records, and I've got.
Can you say that again? The chair.
Roger Baker. Had-
Baker?
Baker, yeah. the-
Survey.
Roger Baker. Yeah, Roger Baker, and he had some of this drawn up when we were fighting the wildlife refuge. But it also mentions in here, that this record, if you can see. But it shows Cave Valley, it goes right through here. And it also shows, I have a big map at home, it shows there's a fault line that runs through there, also a major fault line. So I like to submit this for review, maybe it would help. I know that the Supreme Court is already thinking about this. And I have another, shows Madison County and Monroe here. And it shows the fault line on this particular page here on the East Continental. And it also shows, this map shows all the previous wells that have been drilled and may or may not have been capped properly. And if they go in there and rip this out, and these dots represent the drilled wells. And if anything goes down into the Caves Valley, it's going to flow in there. And it's also drawn up this. And all this was given to the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., where we submitted all this record back in around 2000 or so. And went down in the basement and gave it to the historian, and he has that on file. I'd like to submit this. And it shows some other things here about the wetlands in here. And this is the current public, about some current, that's a publication, it's 56 pages, and I've printed up 20 of them here. And it speaks about the Caves Valley here, in the ground river, which is supposed to contain more water than all the Great Lakes. And this is my personal file here. This is the entire well log of every well that's been drilled there in quite a while.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is that what you do, is drill wells?
No, I do not.
Okay. I wouldn't.
I was a contractor and a farmer about Lafayette Plain City Road, 3815.
We just got very involved fighting the refuge, and then a few years
Right.
later fighting the dairy farm, and now here we are fighting the solar project.
And I'm not a lawyer, but I gotta ask, does our lawyer have that stuff? Is it admissible now since the Supreme Court is looking at it? I don't know.
Yeah, so just to give a little more
Yeah, I
context.
mean, I'm not.
Yeah, so the way this came about and then we connected by phone was in the hearing last week
Yeah,
at the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice asked, is there
Yeah.
an aquifer that runs under any part of the premises?
Yeah.
And the attorney's response was, I don't believe so.
Yeah,
And most people around here know that's
and that
not,
was a horrible
Yes.
attorney they had, horrible.
well, I don't think it
That's
went
good.
very well for their
That's
side,
good.
right? So we're very hopeful, but, so I think you were given my number, I contacted me, and I mentioned that my conversation with the attorney was that all the record has already been filed, but that includes public comments and testimony, including yours, right, which you've submitted. So that will be provided, it already has been provided for the justices as they make their decisions. So like I said, I don't think that offhand remark from the attorney will hold the day, if you will. I think the record does reflect much of what you have. I don't know if they have as comprehensive of a record of some of those maps and whatnot, but there didn't seem to be any avenue to officially submit at this point. I don't know if Commissioner Wallace has anything other than that, but
At this point in time, it probably is not the way to formally submit anything, because it's already at oral argument stage.
On my back.
But we can certainly ask our attorney for his thoughts on that.
My wife Linda has it.
Yeah, I mean, I submitted comments to the Ohio Power Siting Board, and I did mention in there that there is an aquifer under, under the proposed area. And I also mentioned all of the wells that the, tenant farmers had when they were, actually working the Oralton farm. And also the fact that all of this, goes into Spring Fork Creek and then into Little Darby Creek, which of course is a state and national scenic river. And so I did raise the water quality issues. And I also, I got a response back from the Ohio Power Siting Board saying, we've read and reviewed your comments and they will go into the record, but obviously no one at the Ohio, and this is, it was just a small comment, and I realized they probably got a lot of information. They were probably inundated, but the information was available to them that there is an aquifer under there.
Yeah, at least that's part of the record then.
And nobody seemed
I would have thought
concerned
that,
about
I
it.
would think that, that's not a little aquifer, they would know that. This is a,
Yeah, and I don't know who told us that there's more water there than is contained in the Great Lakes, and
Well,
I don't know if that.
I don't know if that's right either, but,
But still, it sounds like it's pretty good size.
because listening to that, I thought, well, that's odd, she don't know.
she was an attorney representing the public.
Yeah, I know.
Right, but yeah.
That's fire.
It sounds like they dropped the ball on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And,
Which is the crux of the arguments that are being made. Right? It's- Yeah.
Anything you can do. Linda will give these also to.
yeah,
Well, you could probably forward that to our attorney for sure. No, we can do it.
Give her that. These would help possibly.
I don't think we can do any good, but it just doesn't seem right. And when we had the informational meetings with Savion, they didn't really give people the opportunity to ask a lot of questions. They had these small groups, you go around and talk to people, and then they allot about 5 minutes for just the whole group to ask questions. And then it was, it's 7:00, the janitor needs to get in here and clean up for school tomorrow. It was held over at Monroe. And so you didn't really have time to get any substantial questions out there.
We appreciate you bringing those documents in, and we'll certainly get them over to our attorney so he has those.
Yeah, if there's anything else we can provide, certainly let us know.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
On your way out, or I can just take your phone number so I can let you know, if
Oh,
you know,
it's, Dale Rapp. 614-306-3210. And the email is Dale Rapp II.
Dale Rep, I.
Roman numerals.
RAPP.
RAPP.
Yeah, I think I have
MSN.com, I think. It's sent to you.
Yeah, I've
Talked
got
to
it.
you a while ago.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
If it doesn't go through, let me know.
Okay.
I'll make sure.
Yeah, that's okay. Appreciate you giving us that information. Always
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
They don't have power at home either, so they use their city sovereign, so.
Spectrum just said 1:30. Back on. That's Spectrum though.
Come back on, anyone?
The spec, I got a text from Spectrum saying that
Oh.
estimated restoration time is 1:30.
Are we gonna have a meeting? Are they coming in? Yeah, they come in.
Yeah, was it
Okay. I didn't know if we got any audio visual.
Yeah, I didn't know if they wanted to pull up the PowerPoint, that's a problem.
Well, that's why I wanted.
I'm gonna stop recording for a second.
I didn't after that.
A lot shocked in the sliders. I did. That's for paper copies.